Hello, everyone. I'm Daniel,
And I'm Chris.
and this is the Dirty God Podcast. All right, everyone, we're back again here on the Dirty God Podcast, and we just want to first off thank everyone who's been listening and following us on this journey. This has been an interesting thing for us to do, and just starting out, we've had lots of support and lots of feedback, and we just want to say we appreciate that. And want to ask you, if you're watching this and enjoying it, take time right now to like this video and subscribe to our channel. We'd love to have you as part of our community here at the Dirty God Podcast. Also, to make sure that you don't miss anything, because we also have some exclusives coming up, I think, in the future. We may talk about that a little later towards the end of the program, but we have some neat stuff coming up in the future, and we want you to be on board with it. The past few episodes, we've been talking about deconstruction, and particularly we've talked about my journey of deconstruction and some of the experiences I had on my way out of the church and back to the church. Last week, I told Chris, I said, Chris, I want to hear your story, and I think that our audience needs to hear your story. And at first, he said, I don't know, I don't really have a story. And I had to kind of gently remind him that he has quite a profound story. And his story is going to offer a different perspective on deconstruction. My deconstruction journey was very tied to my belief systems and my experience of church and that kind of thing. His journey is a little different. His journey is one in which some personal suffering caused some deconstruction and some reconstruction in his life. And so I'm going to let him tell that story to us today, because up until now, all we really know about Chris is that he's done some research on deconstruction. So Chris, my first question for you is, have you deconstructed? Would you call what you went through a deconstruction? And what's that been like for you?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, man. First of all, I would like to publicly repent. And I told this to my wife after you said that my experience that I've had, which we'll be talking about here in a few minutes, um, I just forgot about. I just forgot about it, and it was something that the Lord did for me that was it was a miracle, and I forgot about the mightiness and the faithfulness and the goodness of God in the moment, thinking, well, I grew up in the church, I became a missionary, and that's about it, man. And I was thinking about my research. We talked about my research. I got my Master of Arts in Biblical Sciences because of my research, and we're planning and projecting to the future for a PhD in theology, is specializing in ecclesiology. But that's all I was really thinking about. And in the middle of this, we have like this huge event that happens in my life that I completely forget about. But yes, I have deconstructed, and that happened because of lived experience. So yes, to answer your question shortly, yes, I have deconstructed. Okay. And understanding that deconstruction is not like the Hegelian destruction. The idea isn't to destroy faith in itself, but really to dismantle the parts, look at them, see what they're about, and then remantle them into a reconstruction, because you can't have deconstruction without reconstruction. Otherwise, not to make a big play on words, but it is just destruction, right? So you've got two different sides of it, and I actually started the deconstruction thing. That sounded really theological, my deconstruction thing, but theoretically through research, and that happened because I was doing my Master of Arts in Biblical Science, and we were asked to take a topic, ecclesiology topic, and to write about it. Now they didn't ask us to give anything new, but I'm pretty much a perfectionist, and I wanted to challenge myself. Like I did, so, but it happens because of my friends. Because I had a couple friends that deconstructed. One that still goes to church, but it's kind of like I don't know if I'm in or out, but just in case I'm in, You know, I don't know if I explain myself that way, but we have a lot of fun dialogue there, serious dialogue, right? And then I have another friend that has deconstructed, and he's just out. I mean, he's just out. He's like, I don't even know what I believe anymore. I think Jesus was Messiah, but I don't know. And I encouraged him. He's binge watching our episodes now and all of our shorts and everything, and he's enjoying the program. But I started my research that way, and I found out that deconstruction is basically the outcome of a postmodernist idea, and this is the theoretical point, right? The postmodernist idea is the idea that we have to do away with the autonomous self, and we have to understand that everything is relative. So, if everything's relative, our church systems are relative, our church doctrines are relative, our beliefs on Christ, our beliefs on everything changes. Everything changes from what you have, say, in like the 1950s to what you have in the 1980s and 90s, right? I mean, it's a completely different church. It's a completely different church. And that worked for a while because we added on to it certain types of strategies. Like one of the books I read, I think it was called "Mega Churches Are a Spectator Sport" or something like that. And I mean that for me is basically the death of the church, because what you make of that is a system. It is an infrastructure. It is a show. It's meant to be that way, right? So you have your superstars, and that itself is it's contrary to the gospel. So like when I told you I've never been to that's real. Like the closest I've been to a mega church was Winterfest, you know? Hashtag Winterfest.
Yeah.
But besides that, you know, the convention, things like that. But I've never ever attended. It's never caught my attention in mega church because I think it's antithetical to the biblical model of church, right? And so I've started studying a lot of stuff, and in our third episode, or our second part of our second episode, I believe it was, I put in some links for Diane Langberg, and I started reading her books about it. And then there was another book. I wish I had the author. I'll cite them below because I can't remember the name. There's called "The Way of the Lamb and the Way of the Dragon." I don't know if you've read it, but it's talking about the way we do church, and you can either do it Jesus' way or you can do it the world's way. That's all theoretical things, and it made me question a lot of what we do and a lot of what we call holy as really just customs and traditions of men. And I think if Jesus came back to our time to be Messiah first, we would find out that a lot of our stuff he doesn't fit in with. Like, I mean, he just doesn't fit in with it. Like tattoos. I mean, I don't think Jesus would be worried about that. You know, I don't think Jesus would take a lot of time to have an anti-tobacco stance. I mean, these are things that aren't good for you, right? Sure.
Right.
Okay. But so are potato chips. I mean, so that's a theoretical.
Tattoos are good for you, though. Tattoos are great for you. They're good.
Oh, they're great for you. I don't know. I don't have tattoos, man. I just keep thinking about, you know, this fat body sagging when I'm 70. That happy face is going to turn into a frown. You know, it's just going to be. It's not going to be good, man. So I don't do that out of convention. It's just out of conviction. It's just that. Yeah, it's not my style.
I hear you, man.
Then I have what's the practical side of it, and this is the part that's a bit difficult for me. For those that don't know me or don't know my story, because there may be quite a few in our audience that don't. In 2023, I was suffering a lot from heart palpitations and anxiety attacks. got to the point where I wouldn't leave my house, right? And at the same time, I was finishing up my master's degree and I was writing my thesis. I'm not blaming you on the thesis, but I mean that's a stressful time in a
Yeah.
person's life, and
Yeah.
we usually cook for ourselves, and by I mean a lot of the times I cooked, right? And since I didn't have the time to cook, I would order food in, and just fast food is no good, guys. It kills you, man. It just kills you. It straight up
Yeah.
kills you. Yeah, it's venom, right? So I was I just finished a class on systematic theology, on soteriology, pneumatology, and ecclesiology. We tried to put that into one class. I finished it. I said, well, I'm going to take a few minutes. I finished it at 11 o'clock at night. For those of you who don't know, this is part of Argentine culture. This time, this is as well. This is mate. It's just tea. Don't think I'm drugging myself, guys. But the most powerful thing it has in it is chamomile. So chill. um, we stay up really late. Our children don't, but we do, right? So I'd finished the class at 11, and I said, well, if I don't write now, because I was kind of talking about some of the things that we need to talk about in deconstruction with ecclesiology at that night. And I kind of got inspired. Those moments where you're inspired and you're like, man, if I wait till tomorrow, I'm going to forget all this stuff. And so I just start writing. And then I'm like, I'm dead tired. And so I said, I'm going to cut it off. It was 1 o'clock in the morning. I said, I'm going to go to bed. So I go to bed. And about 30 minutes after I lay down, I start having chest pain. Now, for those of you who have had anxiety attacks, it wasn't like I was worried, because that's something that's normal with anxiety attack. I became a little bit
Right.
And so I sat up, went to get some water that would calm me down, try to get grounded, try to think about something else, watch a video, and then the pain started radiating down my left arm. Now, that had happened before as well with anxiety attacks. And I'm talking about anxiety attacks where I actually went to the emergency room because I thought I was having a heart attack. Because
Right.
they
This isn't
mimic,
like
in at least
normal nervousness.
right, at least in men, anxiety attacks and heart attacks are almost indistinguishable in their symptoms. There is one big distinguisher, and what made me go to the emergency room on this particular time. The pain started radiating up my neck and my jawline. And I said, nope, we're not playing with this anymore. I've never had that happen before. I'm going right now.
Yeah.
And Daniel, both of them, Enzo didn't exist yet. He's my youngest son. And I had two daughters, my oldest daughter, Donna, and my youngest daughter, Gianna. And I kissed them on her forehead, and I told their mother that I loved her. And since I'd been to the emergency room so many times before with anxiety attacks, it's like the kid who cried wolf, right? So she wasn't worried at all. And she's like, well, just go ahead and get it over with. And that's not of her fault. I mean, that's something that, I'm not blaming her for or trying to badmouth her. It's just what happened because of the circumstance that we'd already lived through. But my mother-in-law accompanied me to the hospital. And when I got into the hospital, told them my symptoms. I said, I'm hypertensive. I am receiving treatment for that. I do go to my monthly controls. But this is different. I don't. So the first thing they do is they stick you on the EKG. He sits me on an EKG. It barely starts coming out, and he says, give him 4 aspirin. The nurse pushes a button, and all of the personnel basically that were in the hospital were in the room in the moment. And they give you 4 aspirin, right? 4 mega dose aspirin, so your blood gets thin really quick. And
Right.
that's so that if you're having a stoppage, your blood can still get through and your parts of the heart muscle won't die. That's the idea behind that.
Right.
But if it's 100% occluded, the artery, doesn't matter how thin your blood is, it's not getting through.
Yeah. Yeah.
They don't give you the aspirin and say, would you please sit up and take this? No, they shove it down your throat and then hope it gets past your epiglottis, right? So it's like,
Right.
and then I just straight up asked him, I'm like, what, am I having a heart attack? And for our Spanish listeners, he said 2 words, parece, che. And that means, looks like it, man. And my world fell apart. I mean, when you and I were growing up, somebody had a heart attack, that means you're dead.
Yes. Yes.
So, I mean, that's something that's still, it's still a possibility, right? Like, it's not like
Right.
that fear has gone away with. And so, my body literally went into shock. Like, I started trembling. And I could not control it. And they were telling me, be calm. You don't need to be anxious. That worsens the condition. Telling someone that has anxiety not to be
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
like, I mean, and they're trained nurses as well. It's like, just talk to me in soothing tones, hold my hand, tell me I'm going to be okay. I'm in the right place. That the doctors know what they're doing. But the doctors didn't know what they were doing because they had to ship me off to another hospital. It's our main hospital hub here in Salta. It's one of the best hospitals in the north of Argentina. So thank the Lord for that. But when I get there, their cath machine is broken. So they have to send me off to another hospital, a private clinic that has this cath machine. And all this time, I cannot explain the pain, Daniel, that you feel in your chest. It's literally like somebody is grabbing your heart and pulling it down. I mean, you feel like you're dying. I mean, I was conscious through the whole thing. I didn't see a light. I didn't see Jesus. There was no death angel experience. But the experience of being pulled down out of your body.
Yeah. And knowing that it's your heart, like with that knowledge. Yeah.
I mean, even if because you have symptoms and then you have psychosomatic symptoms, and I had both going on at the same time, and that's not good, right? So he shipped me out to another hospital. He tries to put the cath in, can't put the cath in because the artery gets stopped up is 2 millimeters, right? It's lower than 2. It's smaller than 2 millimeters. For those of you that are in the medical profession, you know that the heart stents, the caths aren't. They don't make them smaller than 2 millimeters. So he's trying. His nurse is holding my hand on the other side. I'm trying to remain calm. I'm just like, I am looking up at the ceiling, right? And this is what it looks like. This is literally, I mean, I'm going to do something. I don't know if this is going to come through well on the, I mean, you're just seeing this. This is all you're seeing.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, and I have no idea how it's going, right?
Yeah.
So, doctor says it got done, and they put a little PVC or a little like tube here, and they wrap it around like a splint because your artery's deep inside, and they don't want blood to shoot out of you because that's what will happen if they don't do that. And then I asked the nurse. It was a male nurse, and I asked him. I said, "Hey, how'd it go? Are we doing okay? What's the news?" He said, "Well, the doctor will tell you when he comes in." And then, because the doctor had left, And then I hear an elderly woman crying. Remember, it's my mother-in-law who has accompanied me.
Yeah.
And so I'm staring at what I just showed you. And I'm thinking, I'm dead.
Yeah.
And I never even got to say goodbye to my children. They're going to wake up. I mean, they're going to have gone to sleep having a father and wake up having no father. And the doctor comes in, and I asked the doctor, said, how'd it go? He said, well, I couldn't put the stent in. I said, so what does that mean? He says, well, the heart attack's going to take its course. So basically, you're in the Lord's hands. There's nothing more we do for you. So they give me nitroglycerin for the heart pain. Does nothing. And I am in a heart attack mode for 4 hours. They put me on in the first.
My goodness.
In the heart wing with the head doctor in charge of my case. So basically, I'm top priority in this mega hospital. Out of all the people that are there, I'm number one. And after 4 hours, he just looks at the screen and he said, "Is he not getting any better?" I said, "I'm not getting better." He said, "No." And then he goes and says something in a low voice to the head nurse. I don't hear what he says, but the nurse comes with medicine. And he says, I asked him, I said, what is that? Because here they don't really have to tell you. I don't know why. But like in America, like, they tell you everything they're putting in. That's a law. So I just ask every time they're going to do something to me. I ask them, what are you doing? What are you putting in me? Right? And sometimes that gets on their nerves, but I want to know what you're putting in my body.
Absolutely.
Right. So he said, well, this is morphine. It's going to help with the pain. And in the U.S., that's acceptable. That's fine. I mean, I had a kidney stone that gave me something stronger than morphine, was Demerol. Oh, I vomited everywhere. I'm terribly allergic to Demerol. I never can take Demerol. At first, it made me giggle, and then the other. But then after about 5 minutes, with the nitro and the morphine not touching it, he comes back over with a double dose of morphine. We're talking 5 minutes. And I said, "What is this?" He says, "This is more morphine to make sure you're okay and that you don't feel the pain." And that's when it clicked with me, Daniel. He's not medicating me. He's giving me palliative care.
Yep.
They think I'm dying. Or they know I'm dying. I don't,
Right.
And when you go into the cardiac wing, they take off everything. So I don't have my glasses. I can't see anything without my glasses. Like, I can distinguish colors and forms. That's about it.
Yeah.
So I look at the monitor. I said, "Lord, I don't even know what I'm looking for, even if I could see what I'm looking at." But I didn't ask for his will to be done. I didn't ask for his kingdom to come on earth as it is in heaven. I was selfish. And I prayed to the Lord. I said, it was very simple. But I asked him with everything in me. Jesus, save me for my babies. I still got to take them down the aisle. I can't be like my father. Never met my children because he died at the age of 57 with a stroke. So I'm like the poster kid for cardiovascular disease. And all of this is going through my head. And I say this simple prayer. And Daniel, I think we know each other well enough to know when we're being sincere or not. And I think we've heard enough of Pentecostal stories to know when somebody's trying to be glitzy and glamoury. That's all I said. I didn't even say in Jesus' name, amen. I just save me for my babies.
Yeah.
And in that moment, Daniel, the pain went away. It was like something just released me. And from being in the hospital wing for 4 hours in heart attack mode, all the studies after that prayer came back normal. And in 4 days, I was outside the hospital. I was out.
Yeah.
Now, you don't just have a heart attack and you're done.
Right. I would imagine there's some lifestyle changes. I imagine there's follow-up tests, everything like that.
Right. And so when I get out of the hospital, obviously I'm tired. I'm wiped out. My heart has just gone through complete survival mode. My mind has as well. And, but I start getting stronger. I start getting better, start walking a lot, lost around 60 pounds. And I go to my 3-month control because they give me new medicines, and for the heart to react is about 3 to 4 months.
Can we clarify something for a moment?
Sure.
What is a control? I don't think that's not a term we use here.
A checkup. I'm thinking in Spanish.
Okay.
I'm sorry. You're right.
Okay.
It's a
That's
checkup.
okay.
I go through my
I thought that's what it was by context, but I want to. Okay.
Right. So I go to my 3-month checkup with my doctor, my cardiologist, and it doesn't come back good. So
this is in 2013. This is just 3 months after the heart attack. 23. I'm sorry, 2023.
3 months after.
This is 3 months after this. Okay. All right.
After you have a heart attack, if you come out alive, you'll have a checkup 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, and a year. And then if everything goes well, you'll just have yearly checkups. Okay? So I had my 3rd month, and I come back with severe cardiac insufficiency or heart failure. Okay? Which means that I could die at any minute. Now, I had no symptoms. I didn't feel bad at all. I had made a bunch of lifestyle changes, right? So he starts putting me on this new medicine, wants to see me in 3 months. Go back to 3rd month. Almost normal. Medicine worked. Lifestyle changes worked. And this is the part I haven't. Well, I just shared it with the church before we started recording, and I just shared it with my mother as well. So, the Lord is sovereign. This was my yearly checkup, and we were hoping that I would have been in the normal range. What's a normal range? Well, a heart under stress. What do we mean by stress? They do a little test on you, and basically they tell you hold your breath and push like you're going to the bathroom. That stresses your heart, right? A normal stress level or a normal functional level is between 50 and 75%. When I had severe heart failure, it was at 35%. After the medication, it was at 46%. So it was almost normal, like I hadn't had a heart attack. And now, after a year, it's at 45%. So I have 3 options here, Daniel. And I don't do this, and this is not what the podcast is about, but I really could use everybody that's listening. I could use your prayers. We change diet and exercise routine. We change medication, or they put another stent in my heart. Now they have to do the stress test to find out which one is going to be necessary. And so I have to wait for that for a little while. Now, having said all that, we're already 30 minutes in, so I don't want to continue in this vein. But during all of that, it's very common for heart attack patients to to, if they didn't have it before, to get general anxiety disorder and depression. Why? Because basically, I know our American audience doesn't watch soccer, but he explained it to me with the soccer metaphor. On each soccer team, you have 11 players. It's 10 players on the field and 1 goalie, right? Now, they can make penalties, these players. Some penalties are worth sanctions. The first sanction is a yellow card, and the second sanction is a red card. And a red card means you're expelled from the game. That means your
Right.
team cannot replace the player that was expelled as well. And so instead of having 11 players on the field, you now only have 10 playing against 11. And my doctor said, well, he looked at the studies and he said, you've got 2 red cards. I mean, that's a lot of work. So we need to do everything in our power to make sure these guys are going to be able to be refreshed and renewed at every moment we can have them refreshed and renewed. Well, it's counterintuitive as to how your heart heals. Like, you think you need to rest. No, that's not going to heal your heart. You need to work it. It's a muscle. Right? So, but I got depressed and I got filled with anxiety. I mean, I thought I could die at any minute. And literally, Daniel, I could die right now while we're recording this podcast, because 1 in 3 of every heart attack victim will have another heart attack within 3 to 5 years. Those.
Yeah.
And so what's all the
and you're how old when this happens?
Oh, don't ask me. I'm 39 now. 37. 37. And I mean, your life expectations change. Your goals change. Your priorities change. And so a lot of my, what some people would call moxie, is not moxie at all. It's simply perspective. It's like, well,
right. It's a almost a stoicism as a reaction to that experience a little bit, that it brings some perspective. And I just want to say, it's that confrontation with your own mortality, I think, that really has that impact on you. I mean, there's all kinds of things bundled up in that, right? Like your life, your family, your afterlife, what's next, and I see that in my work as a chaplain. It's all kind of bundled up, but it's that confrontational mortality. And even though I didn't have a near-death experience, I can understand how that played into deconstruction, because when my father died, I watched him die very slowly, and the older I get, the more I look like him. And so he died I was the age he was when I was born when he died. So there was like this whole perspective of like, oh wow, the man, like I'm the age my dad was when I was born. I'm the age man that I grew up with as a dad. And to see him die, it does make you wrestle with your own mortality. So I can only imagine what confronting yourself would be like. I mean, I see people do it. I've seen you kind of go through it from a distance. I see people walk through that. But I feel like that's something that you really can't even explain. It's just one of those things that can only be experienced, I would imagine.
Well, yes, it's very subjective. So how did it deconstruct me? I can tell you, I know that the Psalms are poetic and they're not to be taken literal. That there actually is a shadow of the valley of death for me.
Oh, absolutely.
It's like,
yes.
It's like, I know he's coming.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
And it even made me question, Daniel. It even made me question if I was saved or not. You know, it's like if I'm about to meet God,
Yeah.
I am absolutely terrified. I'm
Yeah.
absolutely terrified. I mean, people talk about the fear of the Lord is
Yeah.
the
It
beginning of
definitely
wisdom,
raises
and
those.
that's just respect.
Yeah. It
That
raises
we
those
just mean
questions.
reverence. That we don't mean that you're no. You will be terrified. I'm telling you this from experience because I feel like I have authentic faith, Daniel. I may be deceiving myself. We may all be deceiving ourselves. This whole Christianity thing
Who
could
knows?
be a scam, right? I mean, for
Yeah.
real. I mean, this is my deconstruction process, right? It's like, I mean, I could just feel this crushing pain until I'm crushed. I can no longer breathe, and I'm in nothing. There's nothingness, right? Now, I know the Bible says to be absent in the body is to be present in the Lord. And we comfort ourselves with the words of Scripture. But it's one thing to preach about Jehovah Jireh that provides for us on Sunday. It's another thing to be Friday without anything in the pantry and no money to buy anything, right? So I'm here and I know that Jesus is life and resurrection. Okay? I know that here. But I'm dying.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
despair is behind me. I mean, it's like
Yeah.
a physical presence that just holds you down. I don't know how to describe that any better, Daniel. I wish I could. I wish I could. I wish I could
Yeah.
explain the darkness that engulfs you when you know you're dying.
Yeah.
And that last
Yeah.
ditch effort to being under the water and no way to get up and just to stick your hand up and see if somebody grabs it.
Yeah. Mm.
My Lord grabbed hold of my hand. I'm sorry, I get excited about this because prayer is not I have seen people be healed. I have prayed for my family and they have been healed. Right? But it's one thing to just connect with God in the middle. And I recommend Psalm 18 for anybody on this situation. I cried out to the Lord in my anguish, and He heard me from His temple on high, and He came flying down on the wings of a cherubim. He bent heaven and earth to save me. At the breath of His nostrils, He discovered the foundations of the earth. When I was drowning in the middle of the sea, He found me and He lifted me up. And he put me up on a rock that was higher than I. When my adversaries were all round about me, and I was surely to fail, my God came and He was stronger with them, so that He would not be mocked and my name would not be put to shame. I mean, when I read that passage, Daniel, after I came out, I actually read that passage while I was in the hospital. And they said, I don't know what you're doing, but you need to stop. Because my heart rate was going off the charts. And they're like, we don't know if you need another beta blocker or what's going on, but whatever you're doing, stop doing it. And I said, nobody's taking my healing away from me. And Daniel, what I feel that in the process is that cloud wants to follow me. But you have to accept this truth. And I think I'll stop here, Daniel, because I won't take all the time. I know we have other things to talk about. But here's the thing. In Argentina, when you get in line for something, the first thing you're going to be looking for is a little ticket dispenser with a number. It does not matter where you are in the line. All that matters is the number that you hold in your hand. Right? So if I go to that little ticket dispenser, somebody's gotten tired of waiting and left a number higher than the lower than the one that's out right there in the dispenser, I'll take that number. Why is that? Because they'll call me beforehand. And I'll come out from behind the line and I'll go up there. I have the number. Right? So it doesn't matter where you are in line. And I feel that that is the same way with death. Like, we're all in line. We just have no idea what our number is. And it doesn't matter if you're 37 like I was, or if you're 74, or if you're 9. Right. You have no idea what your number is. And so that changed my perspective on a lot of stuff. Like, even not just with the
so let's talk about that then, because let's talk about that, because I want to pause you just right there for just a minute, because you said some very important stuff right there. What I'm hearing too, because you started with this theoretical investigation of deconstruction, and then the practical comes from your own experience. And I feel like in your suffering, in the heart attack, those two things converge, because I heard you both say the physical experience of what you were experiencing, but also the existential questions that arise, like, am I ready to go? Am I ready to meet God? And so then the theoretical gets real close to the practical in that moment of suffering. And that's why suffering is such an important piece to the gospel. It's, in a way, it's where we're closest to the revelation of God. God is close to the suffering, even when we don't feel it, right? Like, in the valley of the shadow of death, thou art with me. So as you described it, with dread pursuing you, God was still with you. So I'm curious, in what ways did that, coming after that experience, in what ways did you reconfigure your faith? Like, what came out?
Don't make me go Pentecostal, man.
What went back in?
No, don't make me go Pentecostal, man. If I start
You've already done that. I felt like we needed to have an altar call after the whole.
Just make sure we both have.
Yeah. Put our Venmo on here.
Okay, for example, money. I care nothing about money. Like, nothing at all. Like, that used to be like the biggest worry I would have. How do we get to the end of the month? I don't care.
Yeah.
We're getting there.
Yeah.
It's just like, Lord, save me from a heart attack where they were giving me palliative care and I'm going to worry about paper? No. Well, cotton for you guys. Right. We have paper money. But, I mean, I'm not worried about that.
Yeah.
We call it paper, right? I'm not going to be worried about the Benjamins. I haven't seen a Benjamin in 14 years. Right? He's already done his travels. Sickness. I'm not worried about sickness because I know the healer. Peace. Man, I cannot tell you the times where I am medicated for general anxiety and depression, and that might be another episode we can talk about sometimes because that's taboo in the church as well. But the times where I don't have the medicine available to me and I start to have these kind of panic attacks, I know how to recognize them and I know where to go to fix them. And this is going to sound so cliche, and the people that have panic attacks are going to tell me, yeah, I've tried that. Yeah, you may have tried it, but once you've experienced the other side of it, there's a surety, right? There's a surety that God is there. And that's perhaps the biggest lesson for me, Daniel, that I learned through all of this, is that God doesn't just care about me as a tither, or God doesn't just care about me as a church member or a minister. or my success in business, or how I am as a father, or how I am as a husband. God cares about me like I care about my children. He cares about me more than I care about my children. And he heard me there. And he answered me there. Because medicine and the doctors had no cure. There was nothing they could do. But nothing is possible through God. So what I started to deconstruct are the limitations that we place, whether mentally or doctrinally, upon God. It's like, okay, I know you learned this in theology school, but you really have no idea about God, because in theology, God is an object. It is an object that we study. The name, theo, right?
To be studied, yeah.
To be studied, right. Well, God is not an object to be studied. God is subject that wants to intervene into our life. And this is my second chapter of my book that I'm working on, that talks about the subjectivity and objectivity, right? So we try to be objective and we say God is this way. Okay. Well, before anything existed, before there were any kind of natural laws, before there was any kind of reason, God created everything. And God says, God says, I do not change, neither is there a shadow of variation in me. And if God can, out of the primordial darkness, create everything, it's like, hey, guys, maybe we need to stop putting barriers upon these things. And like, at least in my denomination, what we try to do is make better soldiers for Christ for our denomination. And honestly, this may get me kicked out, and I really don't care. That's another thing. That's the perspective that I'm talking to you about. I don't care. The Lord called me where I am. I'm serving because the Lord's doing it. I'm doing this because I don't have any students in my seminary. That's a power play. I don't know what's going on with that. But literally, I don't care. Like, when Jesus talks to the Pharisees, he says, you brood of vipers, you are the gatekeepers to heaven. You're not getting in, and you don't allow anyone else in. And if you convert somebody over to your beliefs, you make them the double son of hell that you are. And I see that all over the church, and I'm just like, guys, if you could just get a hold of God. Man, just get a hold of God.
Yeah, a bigger vision.
I'm sorry, I'm preaching. I'm preaching, man.
You're fine. Well, we've got too small of a container for God, and you and I both. So I think, one of the things that's interesting is you're still kind of in theology work. I really got into that for years, and my audience, people who listen to me and know me, they've seen my journey, and I encourage everyone to do it. I think it's a journey worthwhile. But we've also discussed the challenges in that because, and even when I was in school, there was a lot of us who dreaded systematic theology. And one of the reasons we dreaded it is because it does kind of put God in these boxes and categories, right? It's the epitome of objectifying God and studying God, right? It's like God is this, or God is not this, or God is that, God is not that. But we've talked about that. And, one of the things that's always struck me about the first commandments God gives his people when they come out of Egypt, he's trying to break them from a slavery mindset, right? Like they need to reconfigure themselves around this community that he's building in the wilderness, all right? And it does happen in the wilderness. It happens in the Sinai desert. And he gives these laws to them, and the first two are, be careful how you use my name, and don't confine me to any image, because God is bigger than any image, right? Like God reveals himself as a mother bear, but God is not just a bear. God reveals himself as an eagle, but God is not just an eagle. God reveals himself as a burning bush, but he's not just a burning. Like anytime you put a figure around God, you're constraining God. And that was a piece of my deconstruction too, is like recognizing the ways that religion, and especially within the context of institutions who are more and more building themselves to in preservation mode rather than in revelation mode, because they're just trying to preserve what they have rather than get revelation about what God is doing in the moment in the world. That's kind of I kind of see that playing out for you. And another thing I hear what you're saying too that kind of resonated with me is that, that whole money thing. And for me, coming on the other side of some things, that's a big one for me. I care way less about that than I used to. I carry way less anxiety about it because I believe God's going to meet all my needs, and I'm just going to stay faithful to God, and God's going to give me what I need, kind of like the prophet Elijah. He just feeds him when he needs it. And even the Hebrew children, that was one of the lessons God gave them. I'm going to feed you every day, and you just trust me for that day. And he told us to pray, give us this day our daily bread. And so I know I had an elderly saint where I work at. She told me one day, she said, I don't have a lot, but I know I've got enough for today, and that's all I need. And it just blessed me, to hear that. There's such a testimony, because we a lot of times don't live our lives that way, and we live in the future, And another thing for me that changed, and I think it probably changed for you too, is people pleasing. Like, I'm just way less of a people pleaser now than I used to be. And that changes. And so to me, some of that is also like integration. I think it's like coming of age as well, like coming into your 40s and growing into your full grown, manhood, if you will, your full grown existence as a man. You start to integrate some things and find out, what fits and what doesn't fit. And I think that's a sign of spiritual growth, because what you're in essence saying is, my wineskins are different now. My wine is different now, right? Like I can't take, after these experiences, I can't take what I have right now and try to make it fit in what used to be or what other people expect me to fit it in. So I don't know, but that to me, that kind of stood out to me, that you would say that, because it definitely has. So let me ask you this then. So in terms of, okay, how did you wrestle with the questions of theodicy, if at all? Why is this happening to me, God? Did that question come up? Why is this happening?
No, I
Or
knew
why did that
exactly
happen?
why. I knew exactly why it happened to me. Mine was a situation of poor nutrition and lifestyle
Okay.
choices. I did it to myself. There's a Skillet
Yeah.
song, and I can't remember what it's called what it's called, but it says, "Where do you go to escape from yourself? You can't." Right? So I knew exactly what the root cause was. It was me not taking care of myself over years of habits of eating, not exercising, gloating this passage of Paul and wearing it like a badge on my sleeve that physical exercise profiteth little, right? So it doesn't say it doesn't profit. It just says it profiteth little.
Right.
Why profiteth little?
Yes.
Because the strongest among us live 80 years. And what is 80 years in comparison to eternity? It's not even a blink in an eye, right? So I never had to go through this whole thing of blaming God. Like, I always knew this falls straightly on me.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah,
I think theodicy is something that we do have to wrestle with, because people have other say the Lord does care about me. He cares about me as a father, and he wants me with him. And let's say it went the other way, and I went with him. Okay?
Right.
The question of theodicy, my children are going to have to deal with. Like, why?
Right.
Why would you take my father away from me? Because he was serving you. He was a leader in the region. He was ministering to young people. He was forming pastors. And I've had several people here in Argentina who have had the other side of the story happen, right? So they're missionaries to other places, and they have a massive heart attack and die. just suddenly, right? So how do I reconcile a good God allowing bad things to happen to good people that serve him and love him? Well, I think it's another perspective issue, Daniel. I think we see it from this side, right? And I'm not trying to evade the question, but I know that the church answer is, well, they go to heaven, there's no pain, there's no suffering, etc., etc. But I'm not talking about the people that go with the Lord. I'm talking about people that are left behind to suffer with it. Like,
right. And that's always been my perspective too, is like even thinking about, because my wife and I talk about this often, things you talk about with your spouse over 25 years is dying, who's going to go first and, what's going to happen and, all this kind of stuff.
you are, statistically.
That is a consistent thing. You're probably right. Yeah, I'm not very good to I work out and I try to eat well, but I'm not very good to my lungs.
Yeah, yes.
So I think that, but that's one of the things that always emerged for us is like, it's not so much me leaving, it's leaving people, my family behind, my daughters especially, which they're young adults now. So it's not quite the same dynamic, but it doesn't change. I mean, they're still family and they still have stages of life to go through that I want to be here for. But it does kind of, like you said, raise some of those questions. And the question, too, of like, okay, well, God answered his prayer. What about the guy in ER room number 2 who prayed the same prayer, and God didn't answer it? Where was God then? So those are some of the existential questions that that people ask, and especially those who are kind of like, either in the throes of deconstruction or not sure if God is faithful anymore. And I just wonder, like, how do you respond to that? I mean, how do you think about things like that?
Well, two things. God being faithful and God being sovereign are two different things. We cannot mix up the faithfulness of God with the sovereign choice of God. God is faithful, will always be faithful, and he will be with us even when we face the abyss. I know because I've been there. But the choice is his. He is the giver of life. Did you decide to be born? I didn't decide to be born. Obviously, I'm not going to decide to die either. But there is appointed unto man once to die. That is the consequence of sin. So that is something that has been decreed long before we ever got here. And that's the way God has managed the situation long before. And so I think that when we have the theodicy, the theodicy in itself, it starts with the Epicurean debate, right? So, am I saying that right? Was it Epicurus? Who was it? It was no, it wasn't Oedipus. Somebody talking to Socrates.
You're correct.
Is it? Yeah. Okay. I'll look it up. We'll check it out, and if I'll put it in the comments below. I have it in my.
It's one of those old guys.
Yeah, the old guys with the beard and bald head did Greek philosophy, right?
Yeah. The thinkers.
So this is the classic problem of evil, is what it's called in apologetics, right? So if you have an all-powerful God and you have an all-loving God, but he allows bad things to happen, then either your God is not all-powerful, or he's not all good, or he's neither. Well, that's a false dichotomy. I mean, that's just false. God is all-powerful? Absolutely. The fact that we can even reason these things is an evidence of his all-powerfulness, his omnipotence, right? Now his omnibenevolence gets questioned. That's the point, right? That's the point where people get stuck. I don't think that people get stuck with the omnipotence as much. Some people do, but I don't think that people get caught up so much in the omnipotence. It's the omnibenevolence where we get a problem, because it doesn't seem good to me, so then God did incorrectly. Well, remember, God is not the object and you the subject. God is the subject and you are the object. And I think we lose that, because we are the creation of God. And
Yeah.
even though we're individual subjects in ourselves, I mean, the subject
Yeah.
of the universe is God. He is on the throne. So it's kind of a classical theodicy that I have, but it's one that I've experienced practically, and I have thought a lot
Right.
about it. I have thought a lot about it, but
So
it comes to
rooted in your.
making peace with it. I think you have to go through, and this as a
Yeah.
chaplain. I think you'll have to go through those steps. And I have gotten to the place where I've made peace with it, knowing that tonight I can die. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of people realize that. And once you do, I mean, you really do. It's not like, okay, yeah, I could die tonight. No, I mean, I literally could stop breathing tonight. I may not wake up tomorrow. Okay? Once you really accept that, a whole new chapter opens up in your life. And you ask me about people pleasing. I don't care what people think at all about me. I just do not care. I care what the Lord thinks about me, because I know I'm on my way to meet him. I know it.
Right. Yeah, I think it's easy when you're, or a little easier, not necessarily easier, but a little bit more practical when you experience the suffering yourself, right? And it is a little more difficult when you look at things like from a worldwide perspective, like what's going on in Gaza, and you see children starving and children being killed, and you do wonder those things. And I've always been, I don't know, the theodicy question has never haunted me. I have so many friends who just cannot believe in God because of those questions. Those questions have just, I don't know why this sounds so crass. And people who know me, I think of myself, and I believe I'm a very compassionate person, sometimes to a fault. That's why I'm in the field that I'm in. So it's not a lack of compassion. I've just always seen the world as a beautiful and terrifying place. It's both. And God made the lion and the lamb, and it's hard to watch. I don't think that it's the kingdom of God. I think that the kingdom of God, every death will be put to death, and every tear will be wiped away. And I think that's God's desire to bring healing and wholeness. But for the time being, it just isn't that way, right? Like, for the time being, we are in this world, and no matter what your theology is, I don't share a full on after the fall, that's why everything's bad theology. Some people do, and that's fine. I don't think that matters. What matters is that we serve a God who suffered and who invites us to co-suffer with him and to embrace suffering. And a lot of religions and philosophies are about getting away from suffering. But Christianity and the call of Jesus is an invitation to suffering, and some of it we choose, and some of it we don't choose. But nevertheless, those things are at play. So yeah, I think that definitely would have a major impact on anyone going through that. And am I to understand now you're facing now yet another crisis? It's a little unclear on that. You just got this latest test report back, and so now you're kind of in the valley of decision. So how's that feeling for you right now? How is your theology and how it's adopted? How is it affecting your feeling right now?
Well, I mean, I talked to the doctor, and as far as the stent goes, the stent is the worst case scenario. And I've gone through the stent, and I'm aware that when they put a stent in, especially when your heart, a part of it has died, it can cause another heart attack. But I've been through it, so I kind of have experience there. And I think I've come to the point, Daniel, where I'm at peace with my death. And I think to be 39 and have peace with your own death puts you in a spot that's unique. Like, I can talk to people that have terminal diagnostics in a way that is different than perhaps you as a chaplain would talk to them. I know what it's like to be receiving palliative care. I know what it's like when all they're trying to do is put you to sleep and just let you go peacefully, right? So it's like you start when you understand, because we have this certain thought process that we're agents. It's called agency, right? We have agency. I have control over my life. Brother, you ain't got control over the next second. You don't have control over anything except what's happening inside of here. And that should be controlled by the Spirit, not by yourself, right? So, I'm not saying, you don't make plans, you don't work hard, you don't love your wife and your children like you should. No, I'm not saying any of that. But what I am saying is that you do that knowing that God is sovereign. So, my thought going forward is Marcus Aurelius, you're going to hear, I'm very stoic. You're going to hear me talk about his meditations a lot because him and Augustine basically are like the secular and the sacred kind of thoughts that I go through. Hopefully with Augustine, pessimistically with Thomas of Aquinas, right? But that's another story for another time. But Marcus Aurelius said, the man who lives preoccupied about his future while forgetting his present dies 1,000 deaths.
Yeah.
Like, well, Chris, what can you do about it right now? Well, the only thing I can do about it is take care of diet and exercise until my doctor gives me any other indication. So I take care of that, and then I leave the rest to the Lord, knowing that He could call me at any time. That's my perspective, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, and that's great, and that's beautiful, and that's that acceptance is important. I had a lady that I visited with as a chaplain for over a year now pass away this past weekend, and she was very close to me. We got very close over a period of time. She was 82, and it was kind of funny because she had left church years ago, but had always kind of loved the Lord. And then when I started meeting with her, she finally got comfortable enough to where she started asking questions at 82, and she had a very sharp mind. Her mind had not failed at all. And it was cool because she had basically went through a deconstruction herself. Just a lot of things didn't add up. And when they didn't add up, she just got confused and she left church. And so over a period of a year, I was able to help answer some questions and bring her some clarity and give her some space to talk about things she didn't know you could talk about with preachers, and some past regrets and, unreconciled relationships and things of that nature through her lifetime. And so when she passed, she asked for me. She's very close to me. But when I met with her the day before she died, she was of sound mind. And she told me, she said, I don't know what's next. She said, I've done everything I can. I believe I'm saved. I believe I'm going to heaven. I know that God's got me. I don't have any doubts there. She said, but I honestly don't know what's going to happen. But this is what she said. She said, but I'm ready. She said, I am so excited to find out. Those were her exact words. I am so excited to find out. And of course, now she's 82. So she does, she's ran her race. She's finished her course. A little bit different perspective on life, and where she's at in life. But nevertheless, it was such a blessing to me to just hear someone say with tears in her eyes, I'm excited. I'm ready to see what's next. And she knew it was the last time we'd see each other. We hugged, we cried. I kissed her on the cheek, told her, I said, I'll see you later. You better be waiting on me when I get there. But you know, when you work in the field of death and you see people kind of go through these things, everyone has a different reaction. People have different journeys. But to hear that level of acceptance, that's kind of the end goal, because it is a grief. When you find out you could die or that you're dying, it's anticipatory grief. That's what we call it in the clinical field. And in essence, you're grieving what you know is coming. You're grieving the loss of yourself, you know, in the way that you know yourself right now. Even if it means changing lifestyle, that's a grief, right? Because you can't order the burgers you like anymore. And like that whole process is sometimes painful. It's not easy to change your lifestyle. Like, it's not. That's why it's so hard to stick to it. You know, if it was easy, everybody would do it. And working out and finding time and taking care of yourself. And I want to say something about that too. I knew there was something earlier that came by me and I didn't grab a hold of it. But we don't talk enough about that, especially among men. And I know we have a pretty good audience of men that listen to us. So I just want to say,
100%.
Take care of yourself. Yeah, like it is
statistics on YouTube is what it says, but I mean, I'm sure there are women watching, but as far as statistics go, it's 100% male.
So listen, guys, take care of yourself, because it is a spiritual exercise. And we talk about spiritual. You'd use that verse from Paul, and you can use it as a cop out, like you said. You can say, well, spiritual exercise is worth more than physical. But Paul, he talks about sports a lot. I think he was a little bit of a sports nut. He uses sports analogies a lot. And I have a feeling Paul, as a Pharisee, had some box seats at the Olympics or something, right? Like, he was involved. He knew what was going on because he used those a lot. And I believe he probably was a disciplined guy who probably worked out. I might be wrong about that, but I think based on the way I perceive his personality, he very well could be someone like that. And so I just want to say, guys, like, take care of yourself. Your body is the temple of the Holy Spirit. So, and two, it's good. It's actually for me, working out as a spiritual exercise. I put some worship music on. Sometimes I put on some good Southern rock or some good Southern country. And it's just me and my breathing, and I'm praying and I'm thinking and I'm pushing myself, and I'm making myself better. And so it's a worthwhile endeavor. So if I can encourage anybody to do that, like, take care of yourself. It's so important. Your family needs you. It's just an important thing to do. I want to switch gears here just a little bit, and I thank you for sharing so much of your personal story. I want to ask, you asked me once, what was the pain points? And a lot of my pain points kind of revolved around the church. You've hinted at a couple of things, and I'm not asking you to speak vocally or bash anyone, and I don't think you would anyway. But I'm curious, what was your experience of church during this? Like, were they there for you on a local level? And then what about a denominational level? Because I feel like, and maybe I'm wrong about this, part of your story was there was also unhealthiness in your relationship with your vocation and maybe some leadership or something like that, that was causing some anxiety and some stress. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Well, okay. It's kind of like what you said about your experience, right? So I got a lot of messages, but it was just my local pastor that visited me and my wife while I was there. Granted, I was only there 4 days, but then I got messages, people checking in on me and things like that. But to this day, I maybe have 2 people that are checking in on me regularly to see how I'm doing, that to the denomination are not important to me. They are very dear friends. And then I've had other people that have kind of, I don't know if it was because of the heart attack or because I had to take a break after the heart attack. Because I mean, it's not just like, they say you're good to go and you go back to work. No, you have to wait at least 6 months before you can do anything. And those 6 months coincided with a summer vacation that the seminary takes. And then in the next year, Enzo was born. And so I've had a lot of people that I considered very close friends with whom I was very transparent. And this is something that I've been talking to my wife about. I consider you one of the people I'm very transparent with. And I have one other friend that's here in Argentina that I'm very transparent with, that I go into details about my own marriage and struggles that we may be having, not having, financial stuff, etc.
Right.
But while I was in the regional council, it was like everybody wanted to make sure I was okay. When I stepped down from the regional council, crickets. It's just like, and that's when, like what you said, you find out that these relations were actually transactional, and I was invested. I was invested in them. I was sincere, but I think, and I was watching a woman pastor today speak about why people get angry at authentic people. It's because they themselves are not authentic, and they don't do it from the goodness of their heart, and they have the quid pro quo mentality. And when they see somebody that's not that, like neither you or I are making a sin off of this. We're just trying to get something out into the world to say, at least, hey, there are going to be people that come out behind us that are going to be way better at this than we are. But at least try to open up the doors to where the church will say, okay, we need to start thinking about this. And when the relationships are transactional and you don't play the game, you get blacklisted very quickly, like very, very quickly. And I found out how to deal with that. And I'm not going to say the word, but there's this book, The Subtle Art of Not Giving an F. I don't know if you've ever read it, but
I've actually read that book. Yes.
Okay. I learned during this process of what I felt as, and it's not like it, like if I were to ask today the region for money for a certain kind of heart test, I don't think the region would tell me no. But the thing is, like, someone coming beside me and being my pastor and helping me through this, that's more important to me than money,
Yes.
And I just don't have that. Like, I don't have that. And so I understood early on that it's transactional. And I want to say something here. It's not bad mouthing anyone. Okay? So first of all, I know my wife doesn't even watch the programs. She's heard me talk enough. She doesn't want to hear me talk anymore. So I mean, she'll put a I like that, me gusta, right? But she'll give a thumbs up on the video and whatnot. But like, there are things I can't even talk about with my wife because she won't understand. She won't understand.
Sure. And some of it's not her burden to carry either.
No, it's not. It's not. And if I were to put it on her, it would be unfair. And then I would feel the victim, and then we would fight, and then we wouldn't talk for 3 to 4 days. And it's marriage, right? So you have to learn. I'm not as far along as you are. I'm 14 years in, but I have learned. You kind of have to pick what things you share and what things you shield, right? Like, I mean, that's kind of what you do. But my relationships there changed a lot. And I have become basically invisible for the denomination, not because they have decided that I become invisible, but because I have seen what is before me and I say, I don't want that. So there is an awesome, awesome, awesome power in this, Daniel. And
Yeah.
it's one word: no. Just learn to say no.
No. Right.
And there
Right.
are so many things that I found out I was doing because I felt like I was the only person that was able to do it. My authorities felt like I was the only person that was able to do it. And I said, hey, wait a minute. We're a Pentecost church. We believe in the power of the Holy Spirit. We believe that He'll guide us into all truth. Why do you need me? You don't need me.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
I had a heart attack. Let me rest a bit. At least let me sit on the bench, man. Just let me sit on the
Right.
bench for a little bit.
Right. Right.
Get some Gatorade, and then I'll get back
Yeah.
on the field. You know,
Yeah.
and that's basically. I mean, as far as what I occupy, from my role as like an ordained minister, what do I do? Well, honestly, not much. Not much. I mean, I have the seminary open, but I don't have students,
Yeah.
right? And we still have the same marketing strategy. Perhaps that needs to be tweaked. I don't know. But we have more ramifications through the podcast than we do from the
Yeah.
theological seminary. And
Right.
that's one of my main convictions, Daniel. And I know, speaking business wise, that's bad. Like,
Mm.
you want to make money, but
Yeah.
and I'm not saying that seminaries are money making machines, because they're not. I mean, you make three cents. It's nothing, right? But I don't. I would rather have this type of conversation for free, put it on YouTube,
Yeah.
and let the people work through their doctrines,
Right.
and have questions
Right.
for their pastors, and their pastors
Yeah.
not be able to answer, and then their pastors come and talk to me, and I'll say, hey, we got a class about this. And I'm not
There
using
you
it
go.
as a marketing strategy, but I'm
Yeah.
saying I would rather not sell what I know. I would rather give away
Yeah.
what I know, because we have received from grace, so we should give in grace, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's basically
So
my pull and tug with with.
yeah, and I think that two things that really stood out to me in what you just said was you receive most of your spiritual care and pastoral care from friends, and I talk a lot about in my writings and stuff. I talk a lot about ministry in the wilderness, which is how I identify what I do. And one of the things I always say is that wilderness living is different because in the wilderness you have to rely on one another to make it. You have to it's survival, and you have to rely on one another. And we have big tents. Like if you look at the Bedouin community in the Middle East, which still exists, by the way, the nomads that wander the wilderness of Israel and around Israel, they have traditions around this, that if someone comes to them needing help, they will house them for 3 days without asking them one thing about why they need help. So they could be housing a fugitive for murder. They don't ask. It's very much part of their culture, hospitality-wise, because they know that they need that at times, because there's no one else to rely on. They don't have houses, right? There's tents and storms. And so what they do is they have this tradition where if you come to them and you need help, they will keep you and feed you and house you and be hospitable to you for 3 days. And then after 3 days, you have to tell them what you're up to. And then they can vote as a tribe whether to allow you to stay and to be hospitable or not. But all that to say, one of the things that's been on my heart big time, and I'm working on some things in this regard that I'll share later. But one of the things that's been on my heart big time is bridging that gap of pastoral and spiritual care that now exists between the church and hurting people. And you can see how wide the gap is when the denominations and the people who are like the pastors who are, when we say denominations, the reason that's important to pastors is because that's the next level up for us. Like they are our pastors in many ways. The next level up. I mean, that's our district overseers or district bishops, state bishops, whoever it is, right? Like that should be the way it works, is that they're to some degree pastoral towards us. But over the decades, that there's been a growing gap between the church as an institution meeting the pastoral and spiritual care needs of the hurting people in the community. And you see it the most in pastors, because everything becomes transactional. And I just want to say that that there is a wilderness pastoral care model for the wilderness, and you're experiencing it. and that is you find trusted friends, and those people become, which may be the better model. It's less hierarchical. Those people become your confidants. Those people become the people you confess your sins to. Those people are the ones that pray for you in the secret places, and help you. And thank God for technology. That's a little easier to do. You'd be even more isolated with no one if we didn't have some of the gifts of technology. But anyway, thank you so much for sharing your story.
Some of that, no, well, you're very welcome. Some of that, if I didn't have that, I wouldn't be here either. Because the depression that leads to suicidal thoughts and things like that, we can talk about in another episode. But absolutely, man, 100%. Yes. You're very welcome. Thanks for asking me these questions. I think they need to be talked about.
Yeah. Well, this has been a good conversation. I think your story is going to be a blessing to our listeners, and the dialogue that we have. Some of the feedback we've gotten is that it's just helping some of you connect some dots, and that's what we want to do. Everybody's journey is different. So now you're not going to experience it the same way we did, because there's all different dynamics at play in every life and every experience. But I'm hearing more and more people who resonate with little pieces here and there. And even among us, we resonate, even though our journeys are different. We're resonating. So I appreciate you sharing your story. Chris, I'm going to turn it over to you to close us out. I think you're going to tell us a couple of things that are coming up, and we look forward to hearing some exciting news about the future of the podcast.
Yeah, hey, listen, thanks, Dan. Here's the thing. We have a lot of views, and we have maybe a tenth of the views that are subscribers, right? So what we want is to make sure you're not missing out on anything. Like, we're coming out with new segments that aren't getting many views because you aren't subscribing to the channel. And you can subscribe or not, that's all your decision. But we want to make sure that you have this option available to you. And what we're going to do is we made an Instagram page, and those that are following us at the Dirty God Podcast, they're going to get exclusive content. So there's exclusive content that's going to come out of this episode that we can't fit into this episode because we are already at an hour and a half, right? So our podcast is an hour. We try to stick to an hour. So I have half an hour of editable material, and some of that is useful, and some of that is just mistakes or whatever. But we want to show you the behind the scenes. We want to show you the bloopers. We want to show you those the deep questions. Like, we went really deep last episode into the serpent and Adam and Eve, and that was all before we even started the episode. This kind of content will only be available to those that are following us on Instagram and are subscribed to the channel. So if you're not subscribing, if you're not following us on at the Dirty God Podcast on YouTube and Instagram, you won't be able to see the content. And we want you to see it. Why are we doing this? Simply because we want to create a community around this material, because we feel like this is what we call in business, we feel like this is a gap in the market. Like, we don't talk about this stuff. And most of the time is it's willingly ignorant of this stuff. We know it exists. We know we're going to have to face it one day. We're going to have to answer it one day, but that one day never comes because we're just stuck in this box. So what we're trying to do is create a community that goes around this multiform grace of God and is okay with complexity. Okay? I don't have all the answers. Daniel doesn't have all the answers. But the best way for us to find out is together. Because the Bible says he will send the Spirit of truth and he will guide us into all truth. Now, the most important is the us. He's not going to guide you into all truth. He's not going to guide Daniel into all truth. He's not going to guide me into all truth. He's going to guide us into all truth. So we want to create a community around this, and that's why we're doing this. Our videos are free. We don't charge a penny for them. We're not monetized. We're not affiliate marketing and all that other stuff that goes along with YouTube. We're sincerely trying to minister to other people, and we want you to be a part of it. We want it to feel like a community, and so that's why we're starting these new segments that are Full Transparency Fridays, and Daniel will be doing one of those this week, which is actually last week, apart from our episodes. So if you want to be a part of that, subscribe to our channel here at YouTube. You can do that down below. And then also follow us on Instagram at... Well, Daniel, it's been a lot of fun.
Yes.
Well, I don't know about fun, but it's been a bit cathartic, at least for me. I think it's going to be a blessing for other people. That's what we're shooting for. And man,